Welcome to Bill's Aviation Podcast, where your stories are our stories. I'm a general aviation pilot, aviation writer, airplane builder, avionics developer, test pilot, and general screw-up. All stories feature Joe and his merry band of miscreants. The purpose of these stories is to educate and entertain pilots. If you have a story you'd like to share anonymously, please contact me. Today's story is titled 121.5 Saved Me. Shortly after takeoff, while flying VFR from Florida to Wisconsin, Joe found himself surrounded by pop-up thunderstorms, which started to erupt all around him, like landmines on a battlefield. Joe was trying to reroute his trip as quickly as he could. You see, Florida is laced with all kinds of airspace restrictions, from active MOAs to restricted airspace, prohibited airspace, Class Cs and Ds, to vast swampy areas that Joe would prefer not to fly over, lest he become snake or gator food should something go wrong. Joe had his hands full, flying the plane, avoiding all the no-go airspace, pop-up thunder cells, all while trying to figure out how to pick his way through it all. At one point, Joe considered turning around and just going home. Joe's a former airline pilot, and one of the things he learned while flying the line was to continually monitor 121.5, just in case ATC needed to get a hold of him in the event he missed a radio frequency change or there was an aircraft in distress. Then he could relay the information to ATC. While Joe had his hands full trying to sort out a new route, he heard ATC on 121.5 say something to the effect, "Aircraft 20 miles northeast of Valdosta, do you copy?" And after a few seconds, Joe thought to himself, "Well, I'm about 20 miles northeast of Valdosta," and he checked his moving map to confirm his location. Reluctantly, flipping over to 121.5, Joe said, "Go ahead for the aircraft 20 miles northeast of Valdosta." The ATC controller quickly replied, "You're just about to enter an active restricted airspace." Looking at his map display, Joe realized he was in fact heading directly at a restricted airspace and abruptly made a hard left turn. Joe found himself at a corner where multiple airspace boundaries were overlapping, making it difficult to tell where one started and the other ended. Of course, Joe extended his sincere gratitude to the ATC controller for reaching out to him and helping him avoid an airspace violation. Lesson learned: monitoring 121.5 may help save your life, but it might just also help you save your pilot certificate. This is especially true when flying in rapidly changing flight conditions such as pop-up thunder cells and when negotiating complex airspace. When things get really complex, it might just be best to land and sort things out on the ground. Thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed what you heard, please hit the like button and subscribe by clicking on the logo in the lower right of your screen. If you really like what you've heard, please help support the channel and become a Patreon. Part of each donation will go to aviation safety and aviation youth programs. Be sure to check out next week's story about Joe running his battery down in flight.